Welcome to Punch TV. I'm getting my shredder on because today is our special Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles extravaganza. The movie's coming out this month and we have some really cool stuff in store. We have writer Ross May, who lives here in Saskatchewan and writes for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And we also have some reviews of movies from Craig and games from Hank. And we have special guest Jacqueline on The Collector. She's a pal of Tony's and she collects anime and manga, and she's here to talk about how those have influenced her life, and that sort of ties into the Gambate convention, which is happening in July. So some more details will follow on that soon. In the meantime, we have some highlights from the happiest day of the year, Free Comic Book Day. Have a look. On the happiest day of the year, Free Comic Book Day. And tell me, what are you most excited about for Free Comic Book Day this year?
Besides the free comic books?
Yeah.
To share this experience with these lovely people in line and seeing all of the amazing stories, employees in their cosplay outfits. They treat me right during the year. I'm a faithful customer. I have been for over 20 years. Today's the day they give it back. They pass it forward.
So, Batman, are you off to fight crime now?
Yeah.
Is there a lot of crime in Saskatoon?
Yeah.
Is it hard being a crime fighter?
Yeah.
Yeah? What's the best part of being a superhero? Is it the outfit? Is it getting to wear great clothes?
Yeah.
Is it getting to use exciting technology and weapons and cars?
Yeah.
Kylo, what comics did you get today?
All of them.
All of them? Well, I guess, yeah, that's your personality. You have to have it all, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
So which title are you most excited about reading first?
Batman?
Batman is always a plus. Batman is always entertaining. A killer coming in and reading like the Donald Duck, the Uncle Scrooge, the Mickey Mouse, all that. I recognize you. What else are you looking for? Do you like any superheroes?
I kind of like Batman.
Duh. Everybody loves Batman. He's the best. I think he's the best. Do you like any Marvel characters? Do you like Captain America?
Not so much.
Not as much. You know what? I'm not that big of a fan of Steve Rogers either. He's kind of got a bad attitude sometimes. He's really bossy. But then so is Batman. But he can get away with it. So you're a Pokemon fan? You play the game, watch the
I
book?
play the game.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Pikachu
Big fan.
is Pikachu your favorite character?
Yeah, Pikachu's pretty good. I don't know. There are all so many of them. It's
Like how many are there?
over 700 and something. Yeah,
That's heavy.
it's getting excessive.
And what kind of crime or adventure does your superhero princess thwart? Does she fight dragons or does she fight bad guys more?
Bad guys more.
Is there anybody in particular, an experience that you've had fighting a bad guy that you'd like to share?
No, I don't have many stories of that.
You're so modest, superstar princess fighter. Doesn't even want to like gloat and have any glory for like thwarting the bad guys. Well, that's awesome. Now, you are dressed as the Green Lantern. Do you have a favorite Green Lantern?
His power ring.
His power ring, because he can do anything with that, right? Looks like you're also a Pokemon fan as well. Do you have a favorite Pokemon character?
I like all of them.
You like all of them.
Even Pikachu.
Especially Pikachu. Pikachu is cute. So how long have you been playing Pokemon?
Maybe until we bought them.
Okay, so this will be a new adventure for you. And did you get all the comics today?
Yeah.
Is there any particular title that you're most excited about?
looking at my Pokemon.
Well, I am very excited to have Ross May in the studio today. Ross is a writer for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and lives in Saskatchewan. So right in our own backyard, we have some talent happening here. So thank you for coming today.
Thank you for having me on.
Okay, so how did it happen? How did you get the call from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles to say, hey, we want you to write for us?
Man, it's getting close to 10 years ago now. And back then, the Ninja Turtles were still owned and published by their creators, including Peter Laird. So I worked with Peter Laird. My editor was Steve Murphy. People might remember him. He wrote the Archie comics for Ninja Turtles. And I had some good story ideas that they told me that, Ross, we think that you're the first person who grew up watching the old cartoon show that is now working on Ninja Turtles.
Cool. So, I mean, a lot of writers, that's a dream job. How do you get your foot in the door for something like that?
Put yourself out there. I had written a few small things. Obviously, Ninja Turtles is the most recognizable thing that I've ever worked on. But, you know, you just work right on the internet, write for any magazines that you can, just anywhere and everywhere. And then make sure when you're ready, when you approach some place like, hey, the owners of Ninja Turtles, make sure that you're prepared and have good ideas, and once in a while you get accepted.
So hard work, perseverance, luck, timing, all those things come together. Awesome. So what was the most exciting part of working on this like iconic enterprise?
Well, I really like the characters. I mean, I grew up watching the old movies and the cartoon show. Most exciting thing. So a combination of that plus just, you know, writing for something that people were familiar with. Also working with, like I said, Peter Laird and Steve Murphy. My first comic here was drawn by Chris Allen. He drew a lot of the comics in the 90s. So I was very familiar with his artwork. And so it was great that my first comic was drawn by someone that, hey, I've been reading you since I was, 10 years old.
Yeah, did you have like the fanboy moment, or were you held yourself together pretty well?
Somewhere in between. I was definitely excited, and I let him know, and and Chris Allen was very pleased. Like, oh, okay, that you've read a lot of my comics. That's nice to be appreciated. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, are there any other artists or writers that you've had an opportunity to meet and work with as a result of your work on this?
You know, the funny thing is one of those situations where for Ninja Turtles. I've met some of the people. I met Kevin Eastman, even though I've never worked with Kevin Eastman, but I met him briefly in California. But I've never met the artists that I worked on for Ninja Turtles. So I've got guys living in Pennsylvania, in New York City, and just I've emailed them and we've kept in touch, but I've just never had the opportunity to meet the people who are drawing it, which is kind of the way that comics sometimes works today.
Yeah, it seems like, obviously the digital age makes a huge difference, but it used to be like, one guy penciled it and then he mailed it to somebody else who inked it, who mailed it to somebody else who did the text
either
or
mailed it,
whatever.
or else they were all in the same city. Yeah, that people usually, you had to be, it was more localized, and now, you can be anywhere in the world, yeah.
So living in Saskatchewan has not been a detriment at all to working on any books?
In general, no. That I've been able to do some fun things, so yeah, it's been good.
Now, I know you do have a new book out, Devil Dealers. This is your own creation. Tell us a little bit about that.
Devil Dealers is drawn, again, by another American artist, Brett Wood, and we published this in 2014 through a UK publisher, Marcosia. And it's about a bunch of people not fighting the devil, but if you're familiar with the song "The Devil Went Down to Georgia," or stories of people having card games with the devil, gambling with the devil, that sort of things. It's all based around that, yeah.
Awesome. So how different is it trying to promote your own work as to something that already has a pretty established distribution center?
It's a big difference. Devil Dealers, it did fine for an indie book. Yeah, that definitely everyone is interested in Ninja Turtles, but we were happy that Devil Dealers came out and that it's in stores in Saskatoon. It's great.
It's cool to have like the fruits of your labors. You can actually hold it in your hand. Pretty neat. Okay, so what is on the horizon now?
for people who do know that, so in 2009, Ninja Turtles was sold to Nickelodeon, so that's Viacom. And it's published today through IDW Comics, and I'm exchanging emails with people at IDW, so that would be nice to write for Ninja Turtles again.
Okay, so we might get more from you.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Excellent. Well,
Yeah.
whether it turns out to be a Ninja Turtle title or something of your own, we're always looking forward to seeing your work. It's great stuff.
Well, that's great. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for joining us on the show today.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
Good luck in all of your future endeavors.
Thank you.
All right. We will be back right after this.
Punch TV is brought to you in part by Amazing Stories, providing Saskatoon with comics, games, toys, graphic novels, t-shirts, and more for over 22 years. Online at AmazingStoriesComics.com, in person on 8th Street in Saskatoon.
Hello Punchers, it's me Hank, and today on TweetBeat, we are going to be talking about the best video games featuring our friends, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And speaking of those heroes in a half shell, here's a fun fact. Way back in 1987, when the animated series The Cartoon first started airing, my friends at the time thought that it would be great to tell me about this new show they were watching called the Teenage Mutant Ninja Girls. And so I ran around the streets of Oakville, Ontario, up and down the hallways of Sunningdale Elementary School, go Shiners, screaming, "Heroes in a half shell, girl power!" all the time. And I didn't see the series for about 6 to 9 months, so it was quite embarrassing when I actually found out. So, you guys are all following. At Hank and Kelso, I am sure, and at Shaw Punch TV on the Twitter. I think a great idea would be, maybe this month you want to share one of your Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle stories. Maybe you have a girl power moment. Maybe you want to talk about how your mom lost her mind after the 50,000th time you had said, "Cowabunga, dude," and she tried to, yeah, we won't talk about it. So, tweet us, and also, maybe you want to tweet us your thoughts and feelings about the new movie that is out right now. Could it be any worse than the last one? I don't know. So let's go find out. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on the Nintendo Entertainment System 1989. In one of the most difficult Nintendo games ever made, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fight Shredder for the Life Transformer gun. Hashtag controller thrower, 84 out of 100. Turtles in Time on the Super Nintendo from 1992 is the best Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game ever. Statue of Liberty is stolen, a fight rocks the streets, sewers, the past, and future. 91 out of 100. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutants in Manhattan on the Xbone, the 360, the PS4, and the PS3. Artistic co-op hack and slash open world fight that shines at first, then bores and dies. 61 out of 100. So that's it for me. My name is Hank. Stay tuned for the Turtle Tweets. See you next time on TweetBeat. Girl power!
So, Carrie, what was your news?
Oh, Burger broke up with me on a Post-it.
On a Post-it?
Yep. Read it and weep, my friends.
I'm sorry, I can't. Don't hate me.
First of all, I thought you were going to break up with him.
Yeah, I was, and I should have, but he said that he wanted to try to work things out, AKA leave in the middle of the night.
A Post-it? That's infuriating.
Yeah, I remember when breaking up over the phone was considered bad form.
I once was broken up with by a guy's doorman. I'm sorry, Miss Hobbs. Jonathan won't be coming down. Ever.
I miss having a doorman.
My name is Tony, and welcome to The Collector. Believe it! I'm here today with my friend, Jacqueline. Jacqueline, obviously, what the heck am I doing with this wig on? Who am I and why am I wearing this?
Well, clearly you're Naruto Uzumaki.
Clearly.
You're a ninja. You're gonna be the next Hokage.
And so tell me a little bit about who I am and where do I fit into this world that you live in?
Oh goodness, you're probably one of the most popular male manga heroes, honestly. Naruto is one of the longest running series, along with Bleach and manga like One Piece. Extremely popular. They just wrapped it up in the manga, finishing up some more of the story via an anime movie. And
so this whole thing is manga. If I'm correct, this is like it's Japanese comic books type thing. Is that what we're looking at then? Is Japanese comics, and then they do anime. Is that kind of what it is? I don't really know.
Yes,
I don't really know.
Comics, graphic novels that come from Japan or just the East in general, beautifully illustrated. A bit different from, say, comics that you would find in Amazing Stories, where they're a bit thinner, usually fully colored. The manga are usually larger, thicker in size, and in black and white, and feature a very large illustrated chunk of story.
And they're backwards. They read like forward. They read backwards to forwards. So
right to left.
Right to left. What's like you? This is obviously a lifestyle. I've known you a long time, so I'm just being funny. But like this is a lifestyle for you. This is something that you do. You obviously create art. You dress up in cosplay. You make things in this kind of manga. I'd like to think that I live Star Wars, so everything I do is Star Wars. This is kind of like what you do. This is what you live for, kind of, I guess, right?
Right. My home is covered in statues, books, art books, games that are based on these animes. Anime itself, a shelf upon shelf of manga. Thanks, guys. And yeah, and it didn't take long before it was suddenly costume after costume of the characters that really stood out in the manga for me.
Cool, awesome. So now so you do cosplay. This is something that you do. You make your own costumes. You've made this costume. Who are you dressed as today? Or you dressed as, or who are you today? I don't even know how that would like. Do you become that character?
You can. You can play it as yourself, or say when you're at a convention, you can be more serious, get into your character, or in your case, be more silly and boisterous and loud.
Believe it! Yes.
But yeah, Nalil can get pretty serious. So
cool.
We'll keep it light and fluffy.
Tell me a little bit about what you made. You made the headpiece, and you start like is it like a paper mache, or how do you make that?
It's actually it's super sculpey.
Yeah.
So you can get it at any art store. Michael's is where I picked it up, and pretty much I took a styrofoam head, covered it with a wig and some plastic bags, and just started throwing Sculpey on, and used a rolling pin to like flatten out the edges.
Awesome. Yeah.
And then, yeah.
Cool. Now you do art as well. I noticed, and I've seen you go to conventions and you sell your art at conventions, and you also make the ears, which are sold at Amazing Stories, and then the paws I've never seen before, so that's kind of new. Do you spend a lot of time just like making art and working towards building your creativity up more and more, so you can be more manga?
As much as I can. It's hard not to find the inspiration when you read as much as I do. But yeah, ever since I was very, very young, it all started with art, and then as soon as I believe it was Hellsing came out, that's when me and my friends decided, hey, we want to start making these costumes for Halloween. And then after that, we were like, this is so much fun. Why just wear them for Halloween, right? Yeah. And then as we got more and more and more immersed in this culture and in the world of comic conventions, we started going kind of all out with costumes. Our favorite characters, we would scour Fabricland and empty our wallets, but we'd be happy in the end.
And it's really become a culture in itself. Like when I was young, people dressed up for Halloween. Now you see people dressed up on the streets. People will come into my store and they will be dressed up in the middle of the afternoon. And I think that's become almost, it's a given kind of. When someone dresses up, you don't look at them odd. You just know that they're dressed up like their character, that they are that being that day. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I don't have those eyes for picking that out anymore. If I saw someone walking down the street dressed as Batman, it's like, continue on.
Yes, exactly.
Afternoon, Batman.
Without a doubt. Awesome. Okay, now we're a lot of your stuff here that you do it and you're selling it. So we'll probably see you at conventions, and then also, well, we'll see your ears at Amazing Stories. Are you working on anything else big right now, costume-wise?
Costume-wise, I'm working on Irie from League of Legends. But those tails, oh my goodness, they've been quite difficult. There's lots of tutorials available online for girls and boys who want to cosplay Irie to develop the tails. I'm going for something huge, so those tutorials don't really cover like really heavy amounts of fluff, heavy amounts of fun fur. So it's all just sitting in the basement,
Waiting to
building, attaching it, watching it fall to the ground, and like picking it up and starting from scratch again.
Awesome. Now, what we'll do then is we'll have you back on the show, and you can show us maybe some building techniques on cosplay. I think that would be awesome because we don't have a lot of time to talk about all the stuff that you do. But yeah, as far as cosplay goes, you look beautiful. And next time we have you come on, you can teach us some things about cosplay. Awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you for watching. I think now we're going to a commercial break.
Punch TV is brought to you in part by Amazing Stories, providing Saskatoon with comics, games, toys, graphic novels, t-shirts, and more for over 22 years. Online at AmazingStoriesComics.com, in person on 8th Street in Saskatoon.
Welcome back. Well, I am here with Craig, the movie geek, and we are going to talk about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movies. There's been a whole bunch of them.
There's been a lot of movies and even TV series, and I should start by saying, like, I'm a little older than the demographic that really grabbed onto this. That was probably more the millennial generation. Being a Gen Xer, I was really into the original, like, black and white Eastman and Laird comic books when I was about 10 years old, and they were violent. It wasn't full of catchphrases. There was blood. They weren't fighting robots. And so when I watched, like, Archie Comics buy this property shortly after that, and then it took the course it took, to me it was always this horrible watering down of the Turtles that I loved. It's funny though, because if you go back and read some of that Eastman and Laird stuff, it's not really that great, reading it as an adult. But as a 10-year-old, it was the coolest thing ever, like bad language and blood.
Totally.
So they obviously made a Michael Bay produced movie a couple of years ago, which is just horrible, and they're doing a sequel to that one coming up right away called Out of the Shadows. But going back to the kind of original movies, probably the best one is the original 90, was it 90? I think 1990 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Henson costumes, and it was still a bit on the goofy side, and it's all like, cowabunga, dude, pizza, yeah. But you listen to me, I'm like, you took my Ninja Turtles and made them weird. But that one at least finds the best blend of sort of the darker tone of the comic with some of the goofier elements. And then there is the sequel to that, 1991's Secret of the Ooze, which kind of veers fully head-on into the like goofiness of it, including like Go Ninja, Go Ninja, Go, Vanilla Ice on the soundtrack and stuff like that, and a lot more of those like one-liners and like just pizza jokes galore.
They had a lot of weird toys, like toys that squeezed out ooze and pizzas stuff, and it was like, it was really rando.
Yeah, so it's a bad movie, but I mean, there's some camp value there, I think, if somebody wants to go back and watch some of that stuff and just, have a good time with it. They are funny in a it's so bad, it's good way. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 in 1993 was like a train wreck, basically. I mean, even if you give Secret of the Ooze a pass, the third movie's just terrible. And I think a lot of it even stems to the fact that they like Henson wasn't doing the costumes anymore and stuff like that. And it just kind of ends up in the toilet. Now, 14 years later, they did a CGI version when Warner Brothers had the rights, and it's not a great movie. The story is kind of lame, and they kind of started in weird places, like they're all exiled from each other, and they're doing different things, and then have to come back together. So the story's kind of lame, but some of the action sequences in it are pretty amazing.
They are good. The faces really creep me out.
Yeah, well. Yeah, that's true. I was thinking when you said that, I was thinking of the Michael Bay produced. Those things are just like
I know, weird.
And I should go back to that one too and just say, did I say like how terrible that movie was? Because it probably goes without saying if I said Michael Bay in front of it.
We're saying it now. It's terrible.
It's terrible, and even there's like just the worst contrivance in it. This is a bit of a spoiler, but I'm assuming people have seen it by now. Is that the turtles themselves were like April O'Neil's pet turtles when she was little, and it just like who wrote this thing? While I do like the Ninja Turtles, I realize I'm radiating some negativity here. There were also, obviously, some television series. There was the 1987 is when it started, the cartoon series.
Pure gold.
Totally. That's probably the best one. In fact, it's the first season, which I think was only like 5 or 6 episodes.
Yeah.
Those are like some amazing episodes. It kind of goes downhill a bit after that, but that's probably the Ninja Turtles that most of the millennial generation would glom onto, because that would have been their Saturday morning cartoon. There was a second cartoon series in 2003 that actually was also not too bad. You know, sometimes it gets compared to like Batman the Animated Series because it was around that time. It's not as good as that or Gargoyles or something, but I mean, it was definitely passable. There was a third series actually, but I never saw that one, so I can't comment on it.
Okay.
And then I didn't know this until I was like just doing some research to remind myself of like what order these movies came in and stuff. But there was a live-action TV series in 1997 produced by Saban, the company that makes Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. So if you can imagine that like aesthetics applied to the Ninja Turtles, and it's like terrible, especially the look of it even. I mean, if you ever remember that 1970s Spider-Man show with Nicholas Hammond, it's like, that's kind of what these things look like, these horrible turtle costumes that they just look insanely bad. So you know, I guess, you know, if we're asking which one's the best, I'd probably have to say the original 1990 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And if we're saying worst, well, part 3 is pretty bad, but at least it still has that campiness to it. I have to go with the Michael Bay produced, I think it was Jonathan Liebman directed Ninja Turtles movie from a year or 2 ago there.
Okay.
Stinky.
Thumbs down. All right. I'd say stick with the original cartoon. It is the best classic. You just can't go wrong with that. So, all right. Cowabunga. There's the ins and outs of TMNT for everybody. You should check them out. They're available everywhere. You can still get your hands on all of this stuff. So do some viewing and get back to us on what you think is the best and the worst.
Punch TV is brought to you in part by Amazing Stories, providing Saskatoon with comics, games, toys, graphic novels, t-shirts, and more for over 22 years. Online at AmazingStoriesComics.com, in person on 8th Street in Saskatoon.
Well, that wraps up another episode of Punch TV. Want to say a special thank you to Ross May for coming down and sharing his experiences on working on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Also want to say thank you to Jacqueline for coming in and talking with Tony on The Collector about anime and manga and her great art. And of course, thank you to Craig and Hank and Tony. And thank you to you for watching. Keep your dukes up. Awesome. Well, thank you for talking to Punch TV, and may the Force be with you.
And with your spirit.